And today we've got Asha Chan with us, photographer, comedian, host, quiz host, lots of jobs this young lady does. Asha, thank you for coming on this evening. Tell
Yeah,
us
of
a
course. Thanks for
little bit.
having me.
Oh, that's all right. Tell us a little bit about what you do. Your photography is your main love, isn't it? So tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about
Yeah.
that.
Sure. So I've just moved back to the UK. I was in Hong Kong for 9 years, and in Hong Kong, I my photography was I did everything. I did sort of events, weddings, portraits, just everything you can think of, really. But then when I moved back to the UK, I didn't really have. Well, I've been out of the UK for so long that
Mm,
I don't have a network here. Don't even really have many friends here. So I thought try and pare it right down to just one area.
mm.
So I decided to focus on food, and so I built that up. But then this year, I've branched out into film photography, as in film stills
Yeah.
photography, not film as in using the film cameras. I cannot do that to save my life. But like film on film sets. And that's been really, really good. It's been so good for my sort of creativity, and I'm obsessed with horror films. I have been from being way too young. And so I've mostly been doing horror films. And like next week, I am no, this week because it's Monday. I am a corpse in a. I mean, I'm the photographer on the set, but they needed a corpse, and so I'm a corpse from the 1970s,
Oh,
and I believe
lovely.
I'm being yeah, I believe I'm being stabbed with knitting needles. So that is something to look forward to. Should be good. But yeah, so photography, yeah. So I still do food photography. I would say that is my day job.
Yeah.
And then yeah, like film stills. And I still do like a lot of fashion and portraits and stuff as well. But yeah, just trying to build that up again in the
So
UK.
would you say that the film stills is actually starting to become more of something you're really into and you would like to see it going in that direction?
Yeah, I would say so. Because it's building momentum now. Like I've January to March, I did 4 films, like a
Wow.
feature and 3 shorts.
Yeah.
And then in this month, in April, I will, by the end of April or start of May, I will have shot I think another 6. Like it's really kind of like on
Yeah.
Wednesday, I'm shooting one in the morning in Manchester, driving to Milton Keynes, and then shooting another one in that same day, and
Wow.
then so it's really ramped up. So
Yeah.
yeah, like and it's funny because to tie it back into comedy as well, I was very, very unconfident as a child, as a teenager, as in my early 20s, really, really unconfident person. But my therapist said to me, like, what do you feel like is holding you back? What's
Mm.
the thing you're most scared of? Like if you sort of, your like nightmare scenario. And I said like public speaking, and particularly like doing something like stand-up comedy. I could just never do that. I could never do that. And she was like, what if you could? Like, what if you actually could? Then
Mm.
what would that mean for you? And I was just like, yeah, but I can't. I can't though. But anyway, eventually I did build up the courage to do it. And now I really feel like genuinely, if I can do stand-up comedy, and I do, I like my heart
I
races,
was
I
gonna
get
say,
sweaty. Like
yeah.
I'm not one of these people, some of these people just like swagger on stage and they just like they haven't even prepared anything. Like they'll
Yeah.
just get up there and be like, I don't really have anything, but I'm not like that. I like have everything like word for word. Um, really, really nervous still, even like 5 years down the line. But it's given me the most like amazing confidence that I
Yeah.
feel like if I want to do something, like if I want to be in the film industry, I can just go for it. I can just really make it happen.
Yeah.
And I really think this year that has happened. Like at first I am the first like yeah, want to say like definitely the first 2 film sets, but probably all of them like so far the 4. I did feel like a bit of imposter syndrome, and I went to my first film festival, and I had like a lanyard, and it said on it like Asha Chan, filmmaker, and I was like. No, no, no! Like there's been a misprint here. But like as time goes on, I am getting more in my zone, and
Yeah.
I really think I have stand-up comedy to thank for that, really.
Yeah. Like you say, you're
Yeah,
bearing all really in front of an audience doing stand-up.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but so to be able to then go on your own onto a film set with your camera,
Hmm.
just you and your camera, and
Hmm.
to sort of own that, fair play. I think that's really, really good. So you say you're a horror fan. So come on then, what's your favorite horror movie to date?
Oh gosh, today. Can I give you two? Can I
Go on
give
then, give
you
it
a
to.
classic and a new? So my classic probably it's such a cliche, but I love The Shining, the
Oh, yeah,
aesthetic of The
yeah, yeah,
Shining. I literally it's one of those movies where I can just put it on and have it on in the background and like all the time, and I love it so much. I think it's a really beautiful film actually.
yeah,
I mean obviously quite horrifying and
yeah,
like domestic violence and stuff like
yeah,
that, but aesthetically I
yeah.
absolutely adore it. But then modern day, so there was one called Speak No Evil,
Mm.
but then Hollywood made a remake of it. We don't even talk about that. I hate the remake. But the original one, I think it is mostly in English, but it also has I think it's Dutch and Swedish, which I
Mm.
think is why Hollywood, and it has a really, really very, very disturbing ending. Doesn't have a Hollywood ending. I won't spoil it for people, but doesn't have a Hollywood ending. But I think the reason Hollywood remade it was because they needed the Hollywood ending,
Yeah,
and they needed it all to be in English, I guess. So
yeah.
but it was just fascinating, like really very like subtle horror all the way through.
Mm.
It's sort of almost like the sort of social like faux pas. It sort of
Mm.
deals with those kind of social
Yeah.
faux pas and how you kind of get away with violating people's sort of privacy and stuff, but in a very subtle way. And I just loved it. I found it absolutely fascinating.
Uh-huh.
They did not need the remake. Like
I have
the
to look
Wicker
up.
Man all over again. Oh my God. Yeah.
So you
What
say
about you? Do you have a favorite?
I've got to be honest, I don't. I mean, it's strange because obviously I met you, Asha, at the Screams by the Sea festival,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I was volunteering there. I'm
Hmm.
all right with a thriller, but horror, as soon as the music starts, some sort of creepy music, my stomach just, it's like someone's twisted it. And I've had
Yeah.
enough by then. But yeah, no,
Yeah.
The Shining, I mean, back in the day when I used to watch that, I loved it. I loved The Shining.
Yeah.
Same reason
It's
as you. I think it was the
hmm
whole set, if I'm honest with
hmm
you, the
Yeah.
grandness of it all,
Yeah.
the fact that they're the only three people there, that
Hmm.
to me is what made it really interesting. So,
Yeah.
what would you do in that situation? You're in this big place and,
Mm.
your
Yeah. Go
husband's lost
crazy
it.
is the
Yeah.
answer. All you can do. You just have to go crazy. No other option.
But you're talking about Speak
Mhm.
No Evil and you're saying about you really like sort of the intricacy of it all. When
Mhm.
you're doing your photography then, particularly on the horror shoots, is
Mhm.
that what you're looking for? Do you look for those special moments, in
Yes.
particular?
Yeah, I would say, well, so photography in general, I am very like too detail orientated. I wish that I could just calm down sometimes with food photography,
Mm,
and to some extent with sort of portrait photography, things that where I'm controlling it.
mm,
So yeah, food and portraits. Um, I'm very, very particular because
yeah.
you sort of have to be and you can be. Whereas on a film set or particularly on a film set actually on like weddings as well, you have to just kind of be invisible and just capture what's happening. You
Yeah.
can't um I think on film sets you have to just let like almost like everybody on the film set is there to speed up production
Yeah.
except me. I'm the only one who's there whose job it is to almost slow it down. Like because my job is really to market the film afterwards
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
maybe during production, but so I'm very aware I don't want to sort of step on people's toes and be like, right, can we just we need to do another take because I didn't capture it. Like I don't
Yeah.
want to.
Yeah.
That's the absolute. And honestly the four, well, particularly the first two film sets I was on was quite stressful. And it's funny, different environments have different, I guess, like, yeah, it just depends on who's the people who are on the set,
Yeah.
whether they have an adequate amount of time. Just lots of things can go wrong. So I'm
Mm,
very sort of aware that I have to kind of um, be a bit invisible, really, and just
yeah.
capture what I can. And, I do little things like if I notice that there's an actress who is, sat there not really doing anything, like she's just waiting for her scene to be called, or whatever, I can just be like, oh, can I just pinch you and take you around this corner to do a character portrait or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Generally, I'm quite careful to not yes, but sorry, to answer your question, I've got off track. To answer your question about, yeah, just sort of try and capture all the little moments,
Yeah.
and particularly because I also do the behind the scenes as well. It's not just the film still.
Mm.
Um, all the little like sort of moments where people are sort of like looking at each other and smiling, or
Yeah.
like when the director sort of like starts laughing, and and I don't know, it's just like all that, capturing all those little sweet moments. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is important.
I think it is. You're right. It is important because I know for myself, I love seeing behind the scenes stuff. That to me,
Yeah.
I think that's where my interest lies.
Mhm.
So for me, seeing the photographs from behind the scenes, it's like, oh, look,
Mhm.
it looks fun. It looks like it's
Mhm.
they're having a great time making their movie.
Yeah.
So that must be quite a nice element to it. What camera do
Yeah.
you use? What do you shoot on?
I use a Nikon slash
Mhm.
Nikon. I've never known which one to say, but I think I just say both interchangeably. Nikon Z6 Mark II.
Mhm.
And most of my gear is still in Hong Kong in storage.
Oh my God.
Um, so yeah, so that's I need to get quite a lot of that back because I have so many lenses there.
Yeah.
But at the moment I shoot on one lens actually. The last like 6 months I've only shot on one lens.
Yeah.
It's just about been sufficient,
Mm.
I say. Like I could do with a good zoom lens
Yeah.
for certain projects, but
Yeah.
yeah, so that's what I shoot on. Yeah.
And have you always shot on Nikon, or have you?
I have.
Yeah,
Yes, I have actually. But I've upgraded to a mirrorless because I wanted the sort of silent shutter.
yeah, yeah,
So yeah, I mean, particularly on film sets, that's
yeah. I
super
was going to say
important.
that's quite important, isn't it? So
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
that's fantastic. That's really cool. Like you also touched on your comedy. So I'm going to
Mhm.
take you back to your first gig. Can you remember your
Good.
first gig and what was it like? I know nerves you said were
Yeah.
horrendous.
Yeah.
So
Um, yeah, my first sort of paid gig or first ever comedy, because obviously I did open mics
yeah,
for a bit.
yeah,
First open mic. Yes. So I had started to say to my friend Ali about that I was wanted to sort of start, and
mm,
she just put on an open mic. She just started an open mic night. So she basically said to me like, well, I've signed you up for 2 weeks time. You're on it. And I was just like, no, 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 taking it back. Like, no, I don't want to do it anymore. And all this kind of stuff. But I just, because I had no material, so I just had to quickly write. Um, and it went okay, actually. It wasn't, I mean, everybody, what they say in comedy is that everybody like sucks for the first 50 gigs, which
wow.
I know that's what people say, and it sounds very harsh.
Mm,
But I think I kind of agree. Like, I think maybe 50 is a bit high, but your first, I don't know what. I mean, it's very individual, but your first, I don't know, some large amount of numbers of your
yeah,
first performances you will suck, and that's fine. Like it's, you are everyone's learning.
yeah.
I think if I had known that at the time, I don't even know whether I would have gone through that, but like, because I just wanted to be good straight away, but nobody is like that's unrealistic. Um, but yeah, no, it went okay. I I remember that there wasn't a large audience, but I do remember there were like a few people there. Things were sort of landing in my set, but I remember a few after me, my friend went up and was a mid set. So a bunch of girls walked out, and he made some comment to them like, "Oh, we're leaving, are you?" or something. And they shouted back, "Yeah, because you suck," or something.
Oh
Maybe they swore.
no.
And I was like, "Oh my goodness!" Like things like
Yeah,
that terrify me. Like
yeah,
hecklers.
yeah.
Um, like Although on saying that, an open mic I did recently in Manchester, there were two very, very drunk men who I think it had been like the football on or something. There was some reason why everybody was wasted in Manchester. I think it was, I don't know. And there were these drunk men who were being so heckly, and they made a racist comment out loud to my friend. At that point, they got kicked out. But before that, I've skipped right to the end of the punchline. Typical comedian. But before that, when it was my job to go on, I did kind of give them like a bit of a hard time because I
Yeah.
sort of they were not being very nice. They were making a lot of like sexual assault jokes,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
was getting to that point in the night where it was like the host will kick them out soon, like
Yeah.
they have they, and they did eventually. The
Mm,
host kicked them out, but um yeah, it was like very uncomfortable. But I gave them shit because I was like,
yeah.
I don't know, maybe I was just feeling a bit, but I was like, I kind of want to like poke the bear here a little bit.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel more at ease with that than others. Like
Yeah.
there was a time in Hong Kong I was doing a gig, and again, it's always drunk men. And they were just heckling everything I said, like not even in like a, I can't even remember, just like drunk
Yeah.
comments,
Yeah.
just like stupid. But I pushed through, and like it was okay. But then I got off, and the host came up, and one of these men literally walked straight up to him and like gave him really close like eye contact right up to him, and I was just like, I'm so glad that didn't happen to me. I
Yeah.
don't know what I would have done, like
Yeah.
so I don't know, sometimes you get sort of nightmare scenarios like that, but usually it's not too bad.
And you talk about the writing, obviously, you talk about your material. You want
Mhm.
your great material, like you say, you want to be great from the outset. How do you find the writing? I mean, do you find it quite easy to find material, or is it day-to-day stuff? What's your set
Yeah.
comprised comprise of?
Yeah, it's a bit of a mix, really, I want to say. I know that when I get booked, I really thrive on deadlines. That
Mm,
sort of,
yeah,
if I'm not given a deadline, I won't do it. So like I need to be pressured in that way. Like I
yeah,
really thrive on that. So just like with my first open mic, if she had never signed me up for that,
yeah.
we this would never, yeah, never would have happened probably. Um, so one thing that does push me is when I get booked for a show, sometimes the shows have themes. Like
All right.
last year, I did 3 shows in a row that were all relationship themed. I
Mhm.
think one must have been for Valentine's Day, another one was like singles night or something, and then another one was, I don't know, something about, yeah, I don't know. And I had zero dating, marriage, like none of those jokes. I had nothing. So I had to write a whole new set.
Yeah,
Um, which was really good because I would never have found those jokes had it
yeah,
not been that kind of thing. There was another one I did that was like a Mother's Day themed one, and I got loads of kids jokes out of that. Like, because I have 3 daughters,
yeah,
who were an endless source of material. So often, it's funny, I have like a notes app on my phone
yeah,
where like, and I'll just sort of kind of write down, like if some stupid thought comes into my head, like I'll just like quickly write it down in my note app. And same with the kids, when they say things to me and stuff, I just sort of just jot them down. Um but it's funny because sometimes when I go back and I open that, I have like, all these like new comedy notes, and I look at them and I'm like, this makes no sense. I don't know what that means. It's funny. The reason why I wanted to do this interview on my laptop is because I wanted to read out some notes to you because they make no sense. I don't know what I was referring to, but it was something that was like, when I opened it, it was like, imagine how funny it'd be if a stamp collector like ripped up stamps on porn or something. I was like, I don't know what I could be doing. That was from years ago. Just like random sort of
yeah.
things that make no sense.
At the time, you're like, oh yeah, that's brilliant. I've got that. Yeah, that's all I need. I don't need
Yeah,
any more
like
than that.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and similar with scripts because I write
yeah,
scripts. So
the
and
script,
I
yeah.
write odd bits again on my
Mhm,
phone, much like yourself.
mhm.
And you're right. You come back to it when you've got a bit of time and you look at it and you go,
Yeah.
no, haven't got a clue. Haven't
Does
got
not
a
make it.
clue.
Just can't even, yeah, can't
Yeah,
even think what,
yeah.
where that like piece of inspiration
Yeah.
came from. I don't know. Yeah.
And at the time, it seemed so funny, and I thought, oh yeah, yeah, this is brilliant. Yeah, and then you come back to it,
Worst
and
one
like,
is
well,
in
there's
the middle
nothing
of the
funny about
night.
that.
No, I know it's, yeah. So sometimes in the middle of the night, I wake up and I think that I've like just dreamt some amazing punchline or some great opening line to a bit, and I jot it down, and the next morning I'm like, No, 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 no. Just go back to sleep and don't bother with any of this. Waste of time.
Oh dear. No, you did speak to me about obviously doing stand up in Hong Kong, and you
Mhm.
were one of the founders, weren't you, of the first female troupe, comedy troupe?
Yeah, yeah. So that
Tell
was
us a bit more
called
about that.
yeah, am I allowed to swear? Because it was
Yes,
called
you can. Yeah, it's fine. I don't put it as suitable for kids, so you're fine.
there was a there was a swear word in the title of the troupe. That's why I was asking. Yeah, it was called Bitches and Stitches.
Yeah,
And that, yeah, that was really nice, really fun. But then the interesting thing is that in Manchester now, there's another troupe called Bitches and Stitches who they created it complete. And obviously Manchester is where I was born and raised.
yeah.
And where my family all still live in Manchester. So now Bitches and Stitches, so I'm now part of that as well. I performed with them in
Oh,
December, whenever it was.
yeah,
So yeah, it's so nice. And when I go back to Hong Kong, I'm sure I'll perform with them again.
yeah,
The Hong Kong Bitches and Stitches. So yeah, it's nice to have the two now.
yeah.
They were formed completely independent of each other.
That's such a coincidence, isn't
Yeah,
it?
I
It's
know.
meant to
Yeah,
be.
I guess it's a good name, good catchy name. But yeah. Yeah, Hong Kong was really, really great. The comedy scene was very small there,
Yeah,
and um which had its ups and downs. Like if there was any drama, it can be quite hard in a small scene. But it
yeah,
was also really, nice and kind of tight knit. So yeah, I do miss it in a way, but I also love the fact that I'm now in a bigger scene. Like I
yeah,
think it's more kind of like it feels like the UK scene, like say the Manchester scene, feels like there's not that kind of pressure for spots. Like there's not everyone kind of fighting, and there's not
yeah,
that kind of egotistical kind of like maybe there's just enough jobs and gigs for everybody here.
yeah,
Whereas in Hong Kong, maybe that wasn't maybe quite so true. There was a limited amount of venues.
yeah,
We yeah, like really, really great open mic was at the Aftermath, hosted by the loveliest man, Brian. But yeah, it was very hard to get a spot there because everyone wanted a spot kind of thing, and it
yeah,
was like the prime time. So yeah, here, like in Manchester, we're spoilt for choice. That
yeah.
just sort of, so yeah,
Yeah,
but yeah.
we don't really think about that, I suppose. That we are quite lucky. I mean, even just in the local area here where we are,
Mhm.
there's so many open mic nights. So if it was somebody who was starting out,
Mhm.
there is a selection they could go to on their doorstep to get their
Yeah.
confidence up, like you say, before they then
Mhm.
start traveling a bit further afield. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think we are very lucky.
Mhm.
I've never really thought about it before in,
Yeah.
Hong Kong. Wow. Yeah, it's going to be a small,
Yeah.
small
Yeah, for
environment.
sure. I mean,
Mm.
if you're in Hong Kong and you wanted to do an open mic somewhere that wasn't Hong Kong, you would
Yeah.
have to go over the border to China, which is not easy, particularly for
No.
British people. That was quite hard. Well, it's very expensive.
Yeah.
Or fly to like Vietnam, which it's or things like that. So yeah, it was very like you just had to sort of make do with what you had.
Yeah.
And I tried to run my own open mic for a little bit in Hong Kong.
Mm.
And I remember my first ever night. I had like something like I think it was 18 comedians turn up and all wanted to be on. And obviously that's, quite and it was the tiniest venue. Like yeah, it was just like and the comedians I had to tell everybody to all the comedians had to be out in the street because they wouldn't fit in the bar. That's how tiny it was. And so I was thinking like, oh my God, 18 comedians, this is gold. Like this is
Yeah.
I've landed on like this. Obviously I was very naive. I was like, I've landed on a gold mine here. And then like the next week, it was like 10 comedians, and then it was like five,
Yeah.
two, and then it was like me like texting my friends like, please, please, will you like my comedian friends like,
Yeah.
please, will you come and perform because like I've signed a thing with the bar or whatever, and I need to because
Yeah.
yeah, so yeah, it's a very steep learning curve.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Trouble is, you have to
Running
start
your
somewhere, don't you? It's
Mhm.
you go with what you've
Yeah,
got, and you
yeah.
do try and work to make it work. So
Mhm.
fair play. I think it's great that you did actually have that experience to do that. Would you have you done one over in this country since being back here?
No, no, I've performed on shows and on open
Mm,
mics here, but no, I mean, again, it's sort of like, I think it's all about network
Mm.
and like in Hong Kong, my favorite comedy night that I put on was when it was a recurring comedy night was with my trans friend Rachel,
Mm.
who's one of my best friends. Like I absolutely adore her. We did like a comedy quiz night, and it was really like quite unscripted. But it wasn't like quiz. It was all open-ended questions.
Yeah.
Let me try and think of a question that it was. Just think like I remember one of mine was like it was things um like uh National Geographic thinks that pyramids were built by aliens and that dinosaurs don't exist. What do you think was built by aliens or something? And like,
Yeah.
just like people could just be really creative with their answers. It was a creative comedy quiz, is what we called
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
And we
fantastic.
yeah, it was really, really fun. And and then we had like art rounds and all kinds of like kind of crazy things going on. And it was really, really fun. That was my favorite thing to do.
Yeah.
Because it was really interactive as well. And you got all kinds of people coming and people who maybe weren't so confident, but they still everyone just it was, I don't know, it was like a big, big sort of friendship hangout. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh
that
my
was
God. That sounds perfect. It sounds
yeah.
brilliant. You should do another one. Have you got any plans to do another one?
Well, I need to make Rachel move over here. Or find another host because I don't yeah, part of the fun of that was that me and her would like riff off each other,
Yeah.
and we would write our questions. We'd write like 5 or 10 questions each, but then we'd just be riffing off each other the whole time.
Yeah.
um yeah, it was just so fun. Maybe I need to get her over and we could just do like a special
Yeah,
when she's
one
over.
off.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, because that does.
yeah,
It's so different. I've not heard of anything like that. So I think that would
yeah.
have done really well. I think people would really like that opportunity to sort of, because like
Mhm.
you say, you get so many people out there who think they're funny. Well, actually, here's a little forum that you can be really
Yeah.
funny and just have a
Absolutely.
go at
Well, yeah,
doing.
it was almost like a mine for material as well.
Yeah.
Like, and yeah, for sure. Um, yeah, it would just be like write a poem to your, I don't know, to your boss who, you hate or whatever, and then people would get really creative and there was no pressure. In fact, there was no pressure to read them out. But if someone wanted to, they could pass it to me and Rachel, and we would read them out for them,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and then riff off them, and yeah. So that was like I'd say that was probably my comedy highlight if I had to pick one. That's what
Oh,
I
no,
would.
that's brilliant. And that's lovely for us to sort of end on, if I'm honest with you, because I've taken
Yeah,
up so much of your time.
sure.
I said it would only be a 10,
Yeah.
15 minute course, but
No,
you
it's
just
okay.
got so much to talk about, and I love it. I love hearing what you're doing. So going back to your photography, where can people find out about you? Where can they see your work or your comedy?
Um, Please don't look up my website. My website is so cringe. My my website was created when I was planning to go straight into wedding photography years ago.
Yeah.
And no, it's not cringe. That's not fair. It's okay, but I've not updated it in years. So
Yeah.
don't go. I shouldn't have even mentioned the website.
I was going to look for the
Forget
website
all of
now.
that. Edit all that out. No, my Instagram is probably my most so my photography Instagram is Asha underscore Chan underscore photography. And
Right.
then I also have a food one, which is Asha underscore vegan underscore photographer. Um, where I do lots of like food photography, but I also do like funny reels and kind of videos and like I try and make them funny. I
Yeah.
try and make them funny within the constraints of like what my client is okay with and that sort of thing
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
well. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
so
Oh,
yeah.
well, that's good. So
And
it's two
then
places.
yeah,
Is
yeah,
that
well, and then and then my comedy, I do have some clips and bits and bobs on my personal account, which
Mhm.
is octopus underscore mammy, Mami. People
Brilliant.
always spell it wrong, but
What
yeah.
I'll do if you're okay then when this goes out, I'll make
Mhm.
sure that those tags are put underneath so everyone can see
Okay.
your
Yeah.
tags where they are and they can find
Yeah.
out all your work. Well, I
Hmm.
tell you what, Asha, it's been fantastic talking with you tonight. It really has. I've really looked
Yeah.
forward to this one because I know that you just are such a busy person. You're doing such cool stuff at the moment. Obviously,
Yeah.
we'll get you back another time and see
Yeah,
how the
that'd be great.
film, photography
Yeah.
is going on because
Being
that's really
stabbed
interesting.
with knitting
Yeah, we'll
needles.
find find out how the corpse went.
Yeah.
You can tell us what the film is, and we'll have to go and watch it.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
thank
Yeah.
you
Thanks so much
ever
for
so
having me
much.
on.
And we'll catch up with you
Yeah.
soon. All right. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Okay.
Bye.
Perfect. Thank you.